Twiva Nation, and welcome to our very first episode of Twiva Talks. It's going to be an amazing journey, and we are more than excited to share this with you. With this podcast is going to be all about inspiring you about the entrepreneurship world and the digital market. And to start off, we have this lovely gentleman. He's a man of many hats. He's a father, he's an entrepreneur, he is a friend, a colleague. I mean, the list is endless. But let me just let him introduce himself. But before that, if you want to be up to date and keep in touch with us, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So, joining me is drum rolls. Yes, introduce yourself.
Okay, thank you very much, Mogure. It's really an honor to be on this podcast. Really to be, the first guest on the podcast. So my name is Ted Muganda. I'm all those things you have said, including being a tech enthusiast. So my day job, I work here at Twiva as a business development executive. But I am an entrepreneur. I love technology. I'm a father of 3 girls, and I'm a very curious human being.
So before we dive into the serious entrepreneurship world, how about you tell us 2 fun facts about yourself that not many people know about?
Oh, this is always interesting. I've been asked about fun facts about myself, but every time you ask that question or that question is posed to me, I always have to take a moment to just pause and. So, I used to play rugby when I was in high school. I guess that's fun. And I never wanted to be a parent. I thought until I got my girls and I totally fell in
Yeah.
love with them.
That's interesting. So you never imagined to be a father? Like
Yeah, I growing up, I
Yeah.
didn't, and even in my young adult, I didn't quite like children. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's just uh, it's interesting that when I did get my own, I totally fell in love with them.
Yeah. I guess for most people out there, that's how it is. You're like, you can't stand children. Okay, for me, my case is different. I've always loved children, but I've had very many friends who share the same concept. But then when they get their own, they fall in love. So, how about one weird habit you have that no one knows about?
This one, I'm not quite sure I want to say it in front of camera, but
Yeah.
I obsess. I have OCD, so the things that I can do repeatedly, I can
Yeah.
check my door 2 3 times when I'm leaving the house,
Yeah.
even though I know it's locked. There's just this compulsion that pushes me to try it again.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing, but if you have OCD of any kind, I guess you'll understand my challenges.
Actually, it's weird, but I can totally relate. I have the same checking the door and many other things. Like I'm told, it's a weird habit. Like even when I make my bed in the morning, and someone happens to sit on it, even just my kid, it really, I don't know. I get
Interesting.
so uncomfortable. I'll find myself straightening it again.
Interesting. So I'm in good company
You're
here.
in good company, so it's not a weird thing,
Awesome.
unless it's just us here. I don't know. But anyways, how about pet peeve? Your biggest pet peeve, something that just irks you.
I I struggle with people who don't have boundaries. So I live my life. I generally try to live my life in different boxes. So when I relate with people and they have no boundaries,
Yeah.
I struggle. I struggle to how to relate with them. I know that sounds really broad, but
Yeah. I was
yeah.
about to tell you to maybe expand a little on what kind of boundaries. Boundaries could be even someone who doesn't know, space. Then when they're talking to you, they're right here or they're next to you. So define what you mean by boundaries.
Okay, so it's interesting that I'm a very social person, or at least I come out that way,
Yeah.
in casual conversations. But I'm also very measured in who I tell my personal things. So I struggle when I haven't known someone that well, and then they come and just unleash everything on me, and I'm like, oh, seriously?
Well, there are people who are oversharers if they feel comfortable.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
like
yes,
when I'm comfortable, I overshare, and then I go home, I'm like, I,
yes. So there
why?
has to be that degree of comfort,
Yeah.
and that comes with time. But I don't know whether you've met these people who, on day one,
Mm.
you've learned everything about
Oh,
their
okay,
lives.
okay, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Maybe I get what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah. And then sometimes I wonder, so what am I supposed to do with that information? Does it then
Yeah.
mean that I also need to,
Share.
you know, share?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So if your life was a movie, what would it be called and what character would you play?
Hmm.
Like, are you the chilled guy? Are you the villain? Are you, the liberal guy?
Mm. I think maybe Fast and Furious.
Mm.
um, I find that my life moves very fast, and I have a lot of transitions in life.
Yeah.
I have had many different roles in terms of work, very diverse roles. I am generally very experimental
Mhm.
and someone who also, takes a lot of risks. So I guess Fast and Furious would be
Your
really
thing.
apt. Yeah.
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 And like what character would you be? Fast and Furious had different characters in there. Though they were all daredevils.
Yeah.
But what character?
I don't know what do you call this character, the black guy. He started out as a musician,
Um
and now he's more of an actor. He's in the Fast and Furious series. I forget his name. Yes,
Ludacris,
yes,
yeah.
yes, yes. I like his sense of humor.
Mm.
So I don't think I'm half as humorous as he is, but I like to think of myself as someone who'd like to play that role.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. So let's jump into your work life journey. You have, guys, Ted studied mechanical engineering.
Yeah, you can say that again.
Mechanical engineering. You've also been in the information technology and software industry. Like those are very, if I look at what you're
Diverse.
doing now
Yeah,
and
yeah,
those things,
yeah,
it's totally.
yeah,
So tell me about that journey. Like
yeah.
where did you start from? Actually, let's start from when you're back when you're younger, when you're a kid.
Yeah.
Did you know what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Actually, when I was growing up,
Mm.
when I was in primary school,
Yeah.
and there's a story to this. I imagined that I would grow up and become a military ruler. I mean, of all the things, and it really just stemmed out of some of the magazines I would flip through, my dad's magazines,
Yeah.
like in the 90s when there are all these, the 80s and 90s when there are all these military coups in Africa, and I used to look at those characters and I was like, these are the guys.
Yeah.
So it was this weird thing of, oh, I'll grow up, I'll become a military ruler, I'll put things in order. But then when I went into high school, I had this thing of I really enjoyed the sciences,
Yeah.
and 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 my dad wanted me to be a doc. In fact, she used to say, we have no doctor in the family, so you should be a doctor. But I mean, there was no way that I was going to be a doctor. I
Yeah.
hate the sight of blood, and I don't think that hospitals are, they're not fun places to
To
be.
be, yeah.
There's so much misery. I can't survive in that environment. But because I love the sciences, I thought,
Yeah.
I want to be an engineer, because I also like understanding how things work. I'm one of these people who, I ask a lot of questions,
Yeah.
and then I like understanding the why behind just about everything. So that led me to, mechanical engineering. But I think within, like, so mechanical engineering was a 5-year course during our time at the
Yeah.
University of Nairobi. And by the time I was in my second year, I was very disillusioned with what I was doing. And for me, everything that I was reading around me was very different from what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
So this was a time when there was so much happening in the tech world. At the time, I used to read a lot about Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and the stuff that they were doing. I guess that tells you how old I am. I consider myself more of an OG.
We're not judging. We listen.
So yeah, so I those are the things that were inspiring me. Those are the
Yeah.
stories that were inspiring me. And then looking at what I was doing in school and class, there wasn't much modern technology in that field of mechanical engineering. So I really got disillusioned. And even looking back, if I look back at my grades, they really deteriorated from I think my third, fourth, fifth year.
Yeah, yeah.
And there was a point I just wanted to finish school and hopefully figure out what to do with my life.
Yeah.
So when I finished campus, I never really even went into mechanical engineering to practice. But I knew at the time that I wanted to do something to do with technology.
Yeah.
So as a result, I went out digging and looking for information. So in campus we had 1 or 2 units around software development. In fact, at the time we just used to call it programming.
Yeah.
And but again, even the technology and the programming languages that we're using back then were really old. I don't know how many of our viewers know about the likes of Pascal and COBOL, really old technology. But I left campus and then I started, just digging deep, self-taught how to write code um, in Visual Basic, which again, by today's standards, still considered, not a very advanced programming language.
Yeah.
So that was my entry into the tech space. So having learned a thing or two about writing code, I started doing my own personal projects, and then also got opportunity to work for different institutions. At some point, I took a career break, so to speak, when I got married and got kids, and my wife at the time was venturing into a business that has nothing to do with tech, but I took a career break just to help her out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And during all this period, as you're discovering yourself, were your parents being supportive? And I ask because we growing up, I remember I wanted to be so many things, so many different things, and then certain careers looked cool. As you said, doctor,
Yeah.
engineer. Like you'd never say I want to be a musician. Back then, you'd never say you wanted to be a DJ. So were your parents supportive during this period as you were, you know, they wanted you to be a doctor, but you went and chose engineering. As you're doing the engineering, you've already changed your mind again.
Yeah, so that's an interesting one. So first and foremost, my dad didn't understand why I didn't go the medicine way.
Yeah.
But again, truth be told, I didn't quite qualify to study medicine. I think I missed it by a point or two. He understood engineering and he was happy about that path. But I think I totally lost him, or he totally lost me when I finished campus. And for the longest time, even to this day, I don't think if you put him down and ask him, what does your son do for a living, that
He'd
he'd be
know.
able to articulate
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So I think over time, my parents have just learned to accept that that guy, whatever he's doing, you just leave him to it. He will sort himself out. Perhaps it's also a middle-born thing, because
Yeah.
I'm a middle-born. I have an older brother and a younger brother who are very structured in the things they do. They've been in these steady careers for the longest time. Yeah. So I guess they've just accepted that this is, I don't want to say the black sheep, but let's just say this is the guy who's different from the rest. So
Yeah.
I think they do support me in the sense that they just let me do my thing.
You have three beautiful girls. If one of them came to you and said right now they want to be a rapper, would you support them? Or would you try, and they're excelling in school and all,
Yeah.
and they're getting distinctions, would you support her, or would you try and lead her to, a different career path?
Yeah, so that's an interesting one, because for the longest time I struggled with the idea of, so I come from the school of thought where the careers that I consider superior careers, or at least I used to consider
Yeah.
as superior careers.
Yeah.
I used to classify careers as, like male domains and female domains.
Female, yeah.
So for the longest time, I struggled with the idea of men doing work in the beauty industry. I was like, I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You should be leaving this for the girls. But I mean, the world is a very dynamic place. I see how um, even careers have shifted, demand in the different fields have shifted, and today some of the people who make the most money are not even in your traditional careers. So as a result of just what I've seen, how the things have changed, how things have played out, um, I I have reached a place where I'm open. I have three girls, and the first of the three is very artistic, and obviously she's very talented, but she's not the kind of person who would focus on certain tasks for long.
Yeah.
So obviously that means that she's more aligned with certain kinds of work than others. So I've just accepted that children are born differently. They come in different shapes and sizes,
Yeah.
and yeah, whatever they are inclined to, as long as there's some meaningful path to success in that line of work, I'm easy.
Would you say, besides you, would you say like things have changed, and times have changed right now? Are many other people more open to that? Because the market right now is very saturated. I can only imagine. Do you worry about your kids' future? Do you think they're going to get jobs? Like, how do you see the future for them being in terms of career and their careers? And then, like, do you think everyone is open to that,
Yeah,
or are we still in a place where we're like, you must be a doctor, you must be a
yeah,
scientist?
yeah. So in my previous role, I was leading a startup that was in the edtech space, and um, this particular startup had a product, a software product that was all about teaching teens and preteens the so-called 21st century skills. So this is critical thinking, um, problem solving, creativity, and the theory behind it was that we're moving very fast. The world is moving very fast. Things are changing really fast, and things that were useful, skills that were useful a couple of years ago have been overtaken, and some of them are not that useful. Take, for example, artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
It's just happened on us, and it's killing careers and it's creating other careers. But the one thing that doesn't change is your mindset. So there's a thing called an entrepreneurial mindset. So having, led that particular startup and some of the things that I learned, I have learned that the most important thing, and this is the thing that I encourage parents to do, is to try and, set your children on a path to, learning 21st century skills and really infusing that entrepreneurial mindset. And let me make a distinction here. An entrepreneurial mindset does not mean that you're being set up to be an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
but it just means that you're being set up to think and live your life as an entrepreneur. And how is that so? An entrepreneur is all about solving problems. So if you train to be a teacher or a doctor or whatever it is you train, or a saloonist, and then you have an entrepreneurial mindset, you are better placed to succeed than maybe your competitors or your counterparts who don't have that same mindset. So with an entrepreneurial mindset, it doesn't really matter what what you face.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter whether we have a new technology that is even bigger than AI that is transforming everything, because you'll just adapt and you'll roll with it. So for me, yes, I want my kids to have the good grades because it also shows effort, ability to just be resilient and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which incidentally, resilience is also one of those things that are key with the entrepreneurial mindset. So yeah, I care about the grades, but I care more about how they think and how they see the world around them.
Do you think anyone can be an entrepreneur? Because growing up, entrepreneurship was perceived more of you have to have studied for it. In the current world we are in now, do you think entrepreneurship is for anyone? Like if someone just decided, because personally, I don't think it's it's for me. I don't think I
Yeah.
have the what do you call it? The emotional
Yeah.
to be an entrepreneur. Like
Yeah.
if things failed, I know it would just, I'd be very devastated. I don't know
Yeah.
how I'd
Yeah.
handle that. But do you think entrepreneurship is something that anyone can just wake up and say, I have this idea and I can do it
Yeah.
without having that business background?
Yeah. So not everyone can be a successful entrepreneur, but I think everyone should try some sort of entrepreneurial pursuit.
Yes.
And that's not necessarily to say that it becomes your thing, the thing that defines you or how you make a living. But I think everyone should try some sort of entrepreneurial pursuit because of what it teaches you. There's so many lessons that you learn by just trying to do a business, especially lessons around resilience, lessons around what the world around you cares for. Okay. So not everyone can be a successful entrepreneur, but I would encourage. So today, if someone tells me, or if my son tells me, well, I don't have a son, if my daughter tells me she wants to be an entrepreneur, I would say, yeah, go for it. Even if I think they will not
They will not,
succeed,
yeah.
I'll tell them to go for it.
Let them try.
Exactly, because I know therein they'll draw a lot of lessons.
Yeah, yeah. So tell me about what you're doing right now. Tell me about your current position, business development, which is definitely not something
Yeah.
that you had in the past.
Yeah.
But tell
Yeah.
me about that before we get to now you telling us about Twiva.
Okay. So currently I'm a senior business development executive at Twiva, and it's an interesting role because I think business development and the things that come with it, sales and identifying new growth opportunities, is a challenging role. And it's also one that is very easy to measure success or failure. So that makes it very challenging because the spotlight is always on
you,
the business development people. But I think it's the right challenge for me at this point in time, and maybe just a bit of a background story. So the startup that I used to lead, was put on ice, so to speak. And one of the things that had happened is that we ran out of funds, and as I was CEO of that particular startup, and if I was to look back at my time there and the work that I did there, if there's an area where I feel I could have done better, was in the area of fundraising. And fundraising is just another form of sales. So you're just selling the vision of your business, the vision of your startup to investors. So when I look back and I see how things turned out, I told myself that this new role is a role that pushes me to basically hone those skills even more. So I like the challenge. So yeah, I just roll with the punches, so to speak. Yeah.
So you've mentioned your startup, the startup that you had. Would you want to revive it? I mean, after some time, you've learned these lessons and where things might have gone wrong. Would you want to revive it again and do things differently?
Well, I'm not so sure about basically that particular one.
Okay, or starting a new business,
Yes,
another
yes,
business.
yes. But definitely, I mean, as an entrepreneur, I see, someone once said that the business can fail, but the entrepreneur has not failed. And that comes from the school of thought that almost like entrepreneurship is a calling, it's a way of life.
Yeah.
So this particular entrepreneurial pursuit or this business may have failed,
Yeah.
but there are many other problems to solve. There are many other opportunities. So for me, I would say definitely there's another opportunity in the future. I don't know what that opportunity looks like, but I would say I'm happy with what I'm doing at Twiva now, and I'm sure it will contribute to whatever else I do in the future.
There's this thing where people like to play safe.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm even one of them. So like when you're working at an organization and you get fired, you see, you can easily go out there and blame your boss, your previous boss. Oh, alinionea, I was not being treated well. But as an entrepreneur, did you ever feel like other entrepreneurs feel like you failed and not the business? Because then you have no one to blame. because you're the one who was leading this thing. You're the one who was, you know, driving this ship. Did you ever feel at any point? And then if you did, how did you get up from that? Was it like a serious learning curve where you felt things were just not
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, the urge to give up rather?
yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing that happens when you are running any sort of business is that you really get emotionally attached to it.
Yeah.
Um, you you get high on your own supply, so to speak, and you really and it's necessary for success. You really believe in your vision,
Yeah.
because if you don't, you'll just fold up
You have
tomorrow
no
and go.
business having it. Yeah.
Exactly. So the buy-in that you have for your own business and the vision that you have and the way you sleep, eat, drink the business makes it tough when you have to fold the business. And obviously I went through my own, emotions around, where did I go wrong? Would this business had survived if it was maybe in another person's hands? So yeah, you go through those emotions, and but then if you're very honest with yourself and you self introspect, you'll be able to see where you excelled, where you failed. Um and, and 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 then again, like for me, when I look at that particular business, I think we're early in terms of what we are doing. I think it's something that will succeed if someone picks it up in the future. And I also think not enough time was given. So typically, if you look at how startups run, startups can take a long time
Yeah.
before they are able to, stand on their feet, before they're able to, get meaningful traction. Of course, starting with product market fit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did go through that phase of questioning myself a lot, but with hindsight, I think it strengthened my resolve to try again. Yeah.
So tell me about Twiva and what Twiva does, and why is it important for people out there to know about Twiva and join in? Yeah.
Yeah, so Twiva is a creator first platform that is designed to, empower creators to monetize their crafts. Okay, so Twiva integrates social commerce, influencer marketing, and embedded financial tools in one seamless solution. Yeah.
Yeah. So why is it important for people out there to know about Twiva and join in Twiva, especially with the aspect of the job market being extremely saturated right now?
Yeah, so Twiva is solving a very critical problem, the problem of unemployment in the African continent, a problem that is getting worse and worse. It's projected that um, by 2050, if things continue the way they are going, we'll have like about 190 million jobless people in Africa. That's a huge problem. That's a ticking time bomb.
Yeah.
So at Twiva, we are, trying to harness the immense creative and creative talent on the African continent. So there's immense creative talent on the African continent that has not been fully monetized. So by providing a platform that empowers them, by creating resources for them, by connecting them with opportunity, we are solving the problem of unemployment, and that's an important job that we are doing.
Okay. So if before we wind up, if you were not doing what you are doing right now, what do you think you'd be doing?
Wow. I
You are
think,
not yet Twiva,
yeah,
senior business development executive. What do you think you'd be doing?
if I wasn't doing this, and if I had um the resources, maybe if I was in another part of the world, I think I would own a football team.
No. Wow,
Yeah.
interesting. And not rugby because you said you played rugby.
Well, I played rugby
Yeah.
because my school was one of those rugby schools, but I enjoy soccer more.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay, interesting. So, as we wind up, I want you to give a word or two advice for that person who has an idea, doesn't know where to start, they don't have capital, they don't know what to do. And the other one, speak to the other person who maybe had now a startup like yours, and then it unfortunately didn't peak, and now they're rock bottom and don't know how to to pick themselves up and get motivated and try again. Yeah.
Okay, so my advice is very simple. Really, if you have an idea, there's no way of telling whether your idea is going to work or not if you don't try it.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's almost, if you have an idea and you're just talking about it and you don't try it, you're like that person who's sitting by the poolside and discussing how you know the different swimming styles are, and you really haven't dived into the pool to try it out. There's only one way to know if your idea is going to work, and that's by trying it. And then they should not be afraid of failure, because failure is part of the journey. There's this phrase that I really really love, and that's trust the process. Sometimes people think about the end and they're more focused on that positive outcome that they're looking at, but then they forget that success is a process. It's not a one-time event, and that process, that journey, has many pitfalls and many failures. But then when you look at it, when you look backwards, even for successful people, there's so much that they learned through their failure. So people should not fear failure. And besides that, there's a lot of, we're in an environment where it's so much easier to start a business today, especially if you're in a digital business, than say how it was a couple of years ago, maybe 10 years ago. The resources, the internet is available for just about everyone. When I started out building systems, there's so much, the concept of, say, software as a service didn't exist. You'd have to build everything yourself. The infrastructure today, you write code and the infrastructure is there for you to host it on. So we've really come a long way. So it's almost like the universe is saying, all of you people, try and become entrepreneurs. For the person who's tried and failed, I would say, just give it another go. I mean, like I said earlier, that school of thought that says, it's a business that has failed, it's not the entrepreneur. So just give it another go. Yeah. There are many examples of founders who were not successful on their first or even second ventures, and then they succeeded maybe on the third or fourth. And yeah, you may not realize it, but you're always getting better at what you're doing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ted.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Given us a lot of insight.
Thank you.
Feel free to come again and join us.
If you
Give
invite
us
me,
more wisdom.
hopefully I'll have gained more.
Definitely.
Awesome.
So there you've had it from Ted. I mean, giving up is not an option. So make sure you keep putting in the effort. Try, pick yourself up. I mean, like a toddler or a baby who's trying to learn how to walk. They fall, pick themselves up until they do it. So join us again here next week, same time, same place, and hit that subscribe